Okay. Guys, so in today's video, I wanted to talk to you and break down this absolutely beautiful 1 to 3 risk to reward trade that we took on the New Zealand dollar versus the US dollar. Now, as you can see, yesterday I sent this buy limit into the Discord for everyone to be able to take with me, and we closed this out for a beautiful 3% gain on the account. Now, if you're not part of the Discord already, then I would highly suggest going down into the description and clicking that link to become part of the community so that you can start taking these beautiful trade setups with us. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start removing all of this off of the charts, and I'm just going to take everything back just a little bit so that we have a overall understanding as to what I was looking at when I first approached New Zealand dollar versus the US dollar in the morning. So as we can see right here, I woke up and I started to understand that NU is really in a bearish trend on the overall time frame. As we can see, the 4-hourly has broken structure to the downside. It's created this lower high and then it's failed to create a new lower low. So what we can see right here is that on the 4-hourly, price failed to break and close with a body below this previous low. Now that means that the bearish sentiment is depleting from this market and that price is starting to move in a bullish manner. So once we understood this, what we can then do is start drop down to the hourly time frame, and from there what we can see is that we had this nice sort of bullish structure from which we broke to the downside, and then we had a market structure shift right here where price flipped from bearish to bullish, giving us a higher high. Now from there we put in this new higher low and then we failed to create a new higher high. However, in doing so, what we did is actually create liquidity right above this trend line right here, or this double top so to say, and this liquidity was now a magnet for price to come back to in order to take that liquidity from the market. So once we understood this and we understand that the higher time frame narrative is that we are bullish, what we can then start to do is we can start to identify key areas in the market where price can potentially come down to. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to replay this a little bit more, and what we can see is that right here we have this nice bullish demand zone, and from here we can potentially expect price to give us a nice bullish reaction. So if we drop down to the 30-minute, what we can then see is that we can actually start to refine this zone down into this extreme zone, which took liquidity and then went up to break a 30-minute structure. So now that we can start to understand all of these things and we're piecing together the story that price is trying to tell us, we can now start to identify how we are going to actually get into this trade. So for that, we now mix in our amazing Judas swing trading strategy, and it doesn't really work with the indicator because this broker is not the one that I usually use. So what I'll do is I'll manually mark this out myself. So the Judas swing is very, very simple. We mark out the highest and lowest points between midnight and 7 a.m. UK time. So as we can see, between midnight and 7 a.m. UK time, this was our trading range. So this was the highest point between midnight and this was the lowest point between 7 a.m. So between midnight and 7 a.m., this is now our trading range. So Judas swing tells us that all we simply do is we wait for a sweep of either side and then we take a trade in the opposing direction. So now if I play price on, what we can see is that price actually goes on to sweep the Asia lows. Now, because it swept the Asia lows, now this is in line with our higher time frame direction and our higher time frame analysis. So now what we start to understand is that price is becoming bearish in order to come down into this zone from which we are going to take our entry from. So now we simply just play price on and we wait for price to come into our zone. Now this is where we exercise patience as a trader, because we're not going to prematurely enter any trades. What we're going to do is we're going to wait for price to come to where we want it to come, and then we're going to execute a trade only if we are met with the correct criteria. There's no point being, a rushy person. There's no point trying to jump into the market when the trade isn't there perfectly. So we simply just wait. And yesterday I did send this out at 1:25 and our trading session begins at 7 in the morning. So it was a long time that we were waiting for price to come into the zone. But as we can see, price comes and tabs perfectly into this zone just there. Now, after it tags into this zone, what we can then start to notice is that we are now going to give a market structure shift. Now, in order for price to flip bullish, what we have to witness is price to go from bearish, which it is right now, as we can see, creating a series of lower lows and lower highs. And then from there, we broke structure to the downsides. Again, a new lower low. Now, in order for us to flip bullish, we have to now break this lower high to put in a higher high. And then from there, we anticipate a higher low and then a continuation higher. So that is exactly what we were waiting for. And this would be the high that would need to be broken in order for us to get into any sort of trades. So again, we exercise patience as a trader and we simply wait. We wait for price to come and give us that market structure shift. Right there, that is not a market structure shift because price didn't break and close above this line, above this high. So price is still below this high and it is wicking above. And until it breaks above this high, we are not interested in executing any trades. And again, price comes up, but it doesn't break out. It is still staying below. And then finally, after a long period of time, we get the breakout right there. Now, after we get this breakout, we then identified our entry criteria. We've identified our entry model. We then place our entry at the order block that created the market structure shift with our stops just below the low, and we put the stops just there. And then we were targeting that trend line liquidity that we had marked up earlier on in the day. And the stops were just below here, as we can see. So this is how I sent out the trade. As we can see right there, it was a buy limit at 0.59124. Stops just below the low. And we were targeting this liquidity that we had identified earlier on in the day. Now, after we've done all of this, we've analyzed the trade, we've understood what price is trying to tell us, we've waited for it to come into our zone, and then after that, we simply just place our limits and we walk away. We let price come and tag us in, as it does right there, and then we let price do whatever it wants to, right? We don't interfere and we don't get put off by all of this choppy behavior because we've already analyzed. We've put in the work. We've understood the story that price is trying to tell us. So there's no point getting shaken out due to a bit of volatility. We hold, and after a while, boom. Just in that one candle, price then flies straight to our take profit and we hit a beautiful 1 to 3 risk to reward trade. Now, again, this was a very high quality trade setup that we were able to execute within the Discord. And as we can see, just for the month of April already, we are up 15.5% so far, which just goes to show how insanely profitable these trading strategies can be as long as you are a consistent trader, you stick to your trading plan, and you understand that once you have identified the story that price is trying to tell you, you then execute, and that is it. As a trader, that is what we do. We exercise patience and then we execute when our setup is there. But if we did hold this trade, it does go on for a beautiful 1 to 6 risk to reward, which would have been amazing, but we didn't hold for all of that. We simply just held for a nice 1 to 3 to give us a nice 3% gain on the account for the last week of April so that we can close out an insanely profitable month so far. So again, guys, if you aren't part of the Discord, I would highly suggest jumping down into the description and clicking that link to become part of the community. And whilst you're down there, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you did get some value from this video, don't forget to tell me what it was that you enjoyed. And if there was something better that I could do, please also don't hesitate to let me know down in the description. But on that note, guys, I will catch you guys in the next video. And I hope everyone has had a great trading week and a great trading month so far.